G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome back to War Thunder Sim Enduring Confrontation in VR. Now, as with most of my EC videos, this will be a bit of a cut down, because obviously the matches themselves go for about 3 hours if you play them from start to finish, and I did, so I'll be picking out some of the choice engagements, and we'll be flying 2 aircraft in this one, the F4F, as you saw here in the intro, and the G91R3. So the G91R3 that I'm flying out here is actually stock. This was one of the first times I've actually flown it out. BR is 9.0, and as a stock aircraft, our only weapons are a pair of 30mm cannons. And we've just picked up our first target. It's a Vought F8 Crusader, an F8U2 to be exact. 1957 Sim BR 10.3. Now, I knew this one was going to be difficult to catch because obviously the Crusader is supersonic capable, Mach 1.8 maximum, while the G91 is purely subsonic, no supersonic capability. And this is actually why I'm starting to put the dates on the aircraft, because when we start getting to the pointy end of War Thunder, we start getting into that really fuzzy area, which is sort of the mid-1950s through to the mid-1970s, where technology was advancing so fast in aircraft design that you get some really weird combinations. For example, the G91 first entered service in the Italian Air Force in 1958 and 1960 in the Luftwaffe. The Crusader, on the other hand, which is more than twice as fast and significantly better armed, and carrier capable as well, entered service with the United States Navy in 1957, a year before the G91 entered service. On paper, for a sportsmanlike and fair matchup, these two planes are not even close. However, from a sim standpoint, yeah, these two aircraft would have flown in the same skies in the same time if they had been deployed to the same area. Anyway, so at this point I'm still continuing to track the F8. There's obviously no way I can catch it, but I'm also reasonably sure this guy has no idea that I'm here. If he knew that I was here, he would have done something about it by now, and the Crusader has a massive blind spot to its rear, particularly if you're directly behind and below. So providing I sit in that blind spot, I'm invisible to him. All I have to do is sort of follow him around until he does something stupid that kills his speed and lets me catch up, and then I can have a crack at him. Full adjustment in my seat there. It's one of the problems with VR. Everything you do is translated. It looks like he's diving through. Now that's one of our airfields, so he's diving across. That's a missile off the rail, so he's attacking somebody who's just taken off. Playing around near the airfields is actually going to be a pretty major thing for this entire match. You'll see we've already lost a fair chunk of points already, and this match is only 15 or 20 minutes old at this point at the time that I joined. And that's because the enemy team has a lot of ground attackers, and they are hitting runways and targets around the runways really hard. And he just gets slightly tapped by flak, just enough to make him blow smoke. I'm sure everybody is aware of what that feels like. And there we go. First kill. Crusader down. At this point, just starting a spiral back up to start gaining altitude back over, or in the vicinity of our runways, because obviously I've blown a little bit here. But we spotted a little something. At this point, I'm not entirely sure what that little something is, but we're going to go and have a little bit of a look. There's 2 aircraft, one's following the other. So one is likely on our side, one is not. Bring him down the right hand side and go vertical so I can loop over and dive, and the target is a Jaguar GR1, and we have an allied aircraft on its tail. So this is an interesting little aircraft. It's 1973. It first entered service with the British Air Force, and it is an interesting machine. It's not technically a fighter. It's a light attack aircraft that is capable of deploying tactical nuclear payloads, but it's also Mach 1 capable, or Mach 1.1 capable at sea level, can do Mach 1.6 at altitude. It's extremely nimble, it's got 2 30mm cannons, and it can carry 2 AIM-90 Sidewinders. So it is... well, you're going to see a lot of them here, because they are also a really good little strike aircraft as well, because that's what they're built for. But as you can see, they're also pretty dangerous in a fight. Apparently our Jaguar wasn't particularly happy with their Jaguar being near our runway and just decided to shoulder shoot a missile. So, no kill for me, but that was a fun little engagement nonetheless. Anyways, that was pretty much all of my 30mm blown, so time to take it back to the runway, put it down on the ground, and get a rearm. Or more to the point, time to grab an entirely new airframe. Welcome aboard the F4F Phantom, top tier US aircraft of the German tree, battle rating 11, armed with the infamous 20mm M61A1 Vulcan cannon as its secondary armament. Primary armament, at least for the one that I'm flying, is 4 AIM-9J Sidewinders. Now, the German F variant of the Phantom was a little odd compared to the other variants of the Phantom. Being 10 years newer than the base airframe, it has the nose-mounted Vulcan by default rather than needing to mount a pod for cannons, so this is an improvement. But it was also the only real addition to the aircraft's weight. The German-ordered F-Series Phantom was lighter, with the overall maximum fuel load lowered. The wings were fitted with improved slats, and the systems needed to operate and fire the AIM-7 Sparrow were removed. This left the aircraft limited to only short-range infrared-guided missiles. So the result here was a Phantom variant that is faster and more maneuverable than other equivalent variants at the time. However, it lacks range, both in terms of flight time and in terms of weapons engagement range, which actually kind of makes it the ideal version of the Phantom for War Thunder, or at least for War Thunder Sim and the way that I'm flying it here. So, you'll notice whenever I look forward, the radar screen is not functioning in my Phantom. That is not a mistake. The first thing I do after firing this plane up on the ground is turn it off. I don't need the radar for the AIM-7 Sparrow because this variant of the Phantom can't carry the AIM-7 Sparrow, and the radar, while it will help me locate enemy aircraft, in doing so it'll also alert the enemy to my location, or at least rough direction, as I trigger off their RWR, or their radar warning receiver. If I turn the radar off, their RWR doesn't go off because I'm not emitting any radar, there's nothing to give away my location. And infrared guided missiles don't need the radar to actually fire, so I can be a sneaky Phantom. So after a little bit of lurking around here, we're still hanging around the midfield, just over where the ground targets are. As I said at the start of this, the enemy team was ground pounding really hard on this one. They ended up winning this match just by demolishing the ground points faster than we could shoot them out of the sky. And I've picked up a target here. Now, I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is. I'm coming in pretty fast on it. We are redlining the F4 at the moment, trying to catch it. So whatever it is, it's quick. Now, it wasn't necessarily a hostile aircraft, although at this point I'm pretty sure that it is, doing an attack run on the runways. And it's Jaguar GR1A. So 1973 Sim BR 10.0, first missile away. And no impact. Slightly too eager there, should have slotted it on the 6 before letting the first missile away. He knows I'm here now, so a couple of cannon shots. Now the Phantom is faster, but the Jaguar is still quick. Mach 1-1 at sea level. So second missile fired then. I didn't see any flares popped, but the missile detonated early, even on a straight line, so... and it didn't go far. Not actually entirely sure what happened there. But I'm not going to let it happen again. What I'm doing is closing in. I want to get almost into the smoke trail, so I'm really damn close. Jag pilot's actually making a pretty serious mistake here. He should really be throwing that thing around. He's actually be more nimble than the Phantom would be. He's not going to outrun the Phantom though, and he just learnt that lesson. Jaguar's down. And pulling the Phantom directly into the vertical, because we're getting awfully close to their runway. I want to use the energy to take altitude, roll over, and then dive away from the runway and see whether or not we can pick something up. Now this is a little bit risky. If somebody was on my tail at this point in time, a missile would most certainly ruin my day, but the Phantom is fast enough and powerful enough that pulling into the vertical like this, outside of a missile, most things are not going to be able to catch it doing this. And we've managed to pick up another aircraft on the loop through anyway. So this is heading towards their runway. Not sure if it's another enemy aircraft, currently RTB, or if it's one of ours going in to strike their runway. Although it's slowing down, so at this point I'm pretty sure it's an enemy aircraft, and it turns out to be an F-100D. So we have a Super Sabre, 1956 for the D variant, entered service. Last missile off the rail. And that was a little cheeky. Got the poor Sabre low and slow. Last place he wanted to be. So now I'm just doing a little evading as I am trying to get the hell away from the enemy runways. If you check the mirrors here in just a moment, you'll start seeing Tracer shooting up behind us and shooting past the cockpit as the enemy airfields are... well, they're not taking to us being in that area particularly well. And with all our missiles expended, it's time to go back home, put it down, grab a rearm, and get back into the skies and see whether or not we can hunt down some more of these bombers before they can blow up everything on our side. Although at this point, I am not liking our chances of being able to turn this one around. And unfortunately, I didn't bring anything that actually had bomb load carrying capability, so the best I can do is shoot things down and hope the rest of my team is doing their thing. So, freshly back in the sky, and this time I'm running as a bit of a backstop. We're on our side of the map, and I'm flying and looping around behind our runways. I'm looking for anything that's trying to approach through and actually hit the objectives. We've got a bunch of mission objectives over where I am now, and I'm looking for aircraft that are going to be trying to get through past our airfields to hit those objectives, or trying to hit the airfields themselves. I've picked up something moving fast, not entirely sure what it is, just tracking it at the moment. Target is, of course, another Jaguar GR1, and it's heading through to the objective site to try and hit some targets on the ground. Dropping under at 6, making sure we get the straight shot this time. And splash target. GR1 is down. I think it's the second time I've killed Nexus, and it won't be the last. In the end, I think he ended up winning this match for his team, because, God, he blew up some stuff on the ground. But not on this pass. I think I managed to get him before he got anything off on the objectives. Just quickly sweeping my sights across the ground near the runways, making sure nothing is there that looks like it shouldn't be. And at this point, I think I've picked something up, but I'm not entirely sure. There's definitely a target moving down there, I'm just not entirely sure what it is. Or an aircraft moving down there, I'm just not entirely sure if it's one of ours or not. This is actually one of the more difficult parts of War Thunder Sim, because the dots are actually somewhat more visible than they are in other flight sims, which makes them easier to pick up. But they are rendered dots, so you can't identify exactly what the target is until you get within a certain range, and that's actually a bit of an issue on its own. Because of the way the War Thunder trees are actually set up, it's not uncommon to face aircraft that both you and your enemy are flying. For example, at the moment I'm flying a Phantom as Germany against the United States, who could also be flying Phantoms. In War Thunder RB or arcade battles, this isn't an issue, because obviously everybody who is hostile has a big red name tag above them. But in Sim you don't. The only name tags you get are over friendly aircraft, and only when you get within about 400 to 500 meters of them. So you've got to get close enough to not just see the 3D model, but close enough to actually see the livery itself, and although that can be difficult depending on what decals and what liveries have actually been selected by the player, and either identify the aircraft that way, or get close enough to see whether or not the actual green tag pops up, and if it doesn't, that's when you can actually shoot them. Now, we have another Jaguar, it's returning to base, it just blew something up, and for those who I'm sure in the comment section are saying missile kills are a little bit boring, this one's for you. Oh, that thing makes a mess. Phantoms with nose-mounted Vulcans are the best Phantoms. Like, it's just that simple. So, once again, putting some distance between their airfield and me. I'm back in the midfield, just lurking around, and we have picked up another fast-moving dot heading towards our runways again. At this point, I'm 100% positive this is a hostile aircraft, and I'm completely positive that this is going to be another Jaguar. Now, just to be clear, there was more than Jaguars around. It was just the area that I happened to be playing in. There was a MiG-21 on the other team that was flying around, but we never ran into one another in nearly 3 hours. Tracking him. the aspect's good. Splash target. And it's Nexus again. Poor guy must have been cursing my name at this point. This is like the 4th or 5th time I've shot him down. And in that Jaguar, every single time. But to be fair, it wasn't like I was singling him out. It was just, I was trying to defend the objectives, he was trying to attack. So anyways, back to base with the Phantom, switched over to the G91 again. And we found our final fight. At this point, we are down to the last points left in the match. This is going to be over in just a moment, but we did come across a MiG-17 AS. So MiG-17 AS versus a G91, this is an entirely perfect fight to end this on. And this was honestly probably the best fight of the night. In fact, it's fights like this that really make me want an IL-2 game that's based around the Korean War, or the time just prior to the Korean War up to the Vietnam War. I really want, even if it's not IL-2, a game like that, somebody need, or a sim like that, somebody needs to do that. I don't care about the clicky pit bullshit in DCS. Just give me some good flight models and some great mission design. It's under the nose. Oh, there we go. Yeah, more of that. God, I wish we could have more of that. Anyways, ladies and gents, hope you enjoyed a little bit of a ride out in Sim VR. As I said, this was recorded a few weeks ago now, before the floods and a few other things took off on this end. So, yeah, it's this one here I was meant to put up, and a couple of things stopped it from coming up a little bit sooner. This is a great fight. I still do like jumping into War Thunder Sim, and it's because at the moment, you know, fights in this particular category that you're seeing here, this is where I like to fly. And there really isn't a sim out there that covers it at the moment. The last one was, I believe, Strike Fighters, which was Vietnam War era, Korean into Vietnam War era. But that game's 15 years old now, and it doesn't run on some systems and has a whole load of problems, and almost all support for it is stopped. I would like nothing better to see somebody actually make a sim in this particular category, because I would play the arse out of it. It's just, nobody has yet. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll let you go here. This is a hell of a lot of fun, and until next time, take care.